My parents borrowed my gold credit card to make $5,000 online payment. A few days later, my sister flashed a brand new card and my brother rolled up on a sports bike. Suspicious. I asked for my card back. They laughed. Relax, it's got like $10 left. But when I looked at it I couldn't help but grin, because the card they'd maxed out was actual. My name is Maria Mitchell and I'm from a small town in Ohio where everybody knows your business, whether you like it or not. I'm the kind of person who keeps things together. Bills paid, promises kept, no fuss, at least that's who I thought I was until one morning when my phone buzzed so loud it felt like a punch to the chest. A bank alert stared back at me cold as ice. My account was overdrawn by $42,317.89. My savings, my safety net, my years of scraping by gone. I blinked at the screen thinking it was a glitch, some cruel joke. But the numbers didn't budge. My parents had used my credit card to buy a car and a motorcycle, leaving me with $10 to my name. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the card they swiped was the one I trusted them with for emergencies. Guess their emergency was a shiny new ride that. I grew up in a house where chaos was the wallpaper. My dad lost his factory job when I was a kid and instead of picking himself up, he turned to poker games and big talk about hitting it big. My mom, with her quick smile and quicker tears, could charm anyone into giving her a pass on late bills. By 16, I was working shifts at Rosa's diner sweeping floors and pouring coffee to keep the lights on after Dad's gambling. Debts ate our savings. I loved them, so I helped. I put myself through community college, got a job as a financial analyst and became the responsible one. When Mom's credit tanked, CEO signed their mortgage. When my brother's truck broke down, I covered it. I thought that's what family did, carry each other. That morning, staring at my empty account, I realized I wasn't carrying them. They were draining me that. I didn't sleep after that alert. My hand shook as I dialed my dad, the phone cold against my ear. He answered on speaker, music blaring. My moms laughed sharp in the background like they were at a party. Dad, something's wrong, I said, my voice tight. My account's maxed out. Did something happen? There was a pause. Then his voice came through, annoyed, like I was interrupting his day. Maria, don't make a big deal. Your mom had doctor bills, your brother needed his truck fixed and the house payment was late. We handled it. I froze, my heart sinking. Why didn't you ask me? I managed, he snorted. Ask your family, you owe us. Then my mom's voice cut in sharp and mocking, what were you gonna do with that money, Maria? Buy yourself a fancy birthday cake, my birthday. I had forgotten it was that week, but they hadn't. They'd celebrated by emptying my account. I felt like I'd been slapped. Don't call me again, I said, my voice steady, despite the ache in my chest. I hung up, their laughter still ringing in my ears. That was the last gift they gave me, not love, not an apology, but silence, a deep, ugly silence that told me who they really were, that I didn't cry. I got to work. By noon I was logged into every account I had, entangling myself from their mess, the mortgage in my name, because Mom's credit wouldn't qualify, cancelled, my brother's truck repossessed. By the next day I called the bank, marked the charges as unauthorized and froze my credit. Every automatic payment, every shared plan, phone, Netflix, utilities, I cut them off. They thought I'd always be their safety net, the good daughter who would fix everything. That morning I decided I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was done being their ATM with a heartbeat. The next morning my phone lit up like a Christmas tree, missed calls, texts, voicemails. My parents, my brother, even my cousin Riley, all piling in. Some messages were furious, Maria going on, truck's gone. Others tried to play nice, honey, the bank says the mortgage is in default. Just talk to us. I didn't answer. I was too busy cutting every cord they tied around me for years. I changed every password, cancelled the family phone plan I had paid for since college and shut off the streaming accounts they'd been using, like I was their personal piggy bank. I even disconnected the gas bill. Mom's credit couldn't get it approved, so it was under my name. I wasn't cruel, I was just done paying for their choices. Growing up, I learned love meant sacrifice. At 16. I'd come home from the diner to find eviction notices taped to our door. Mom would cry, Dad would promise to fix it, but I was the one who paid the electric bill so we wouldn't sit in the dark. I thought I was helping family, but they saw me as a resource. When I got my analyst job, they didn't celebrate my degree. They asked for loans that never got repaid. My brother, who would rather tinker with his truck than hold a steady job, called me the bank like it was a joke. But that morning, with my account in the red, their joke wasn't funny anymore, it was theft. By afternoon I'd called every company, every bank, every agency tying me to them. I removed myself as co-signer on mom's student loans. She gone back to school but never finished, leaving me to cover the payments. I sent an email to my lawyer, cutting all shared responsibilities, even the power of attorney. They'd guilt me into signing. No fights, no yelling, just quiet, deliberate steps. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear they'd taken $42,000 without a second thought. I was taking my life back the same way. Later that day my phone buzzed with a text from Riley. Did you really shut off their gas? Cold, Maria, they're freaking out. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Riley was always the family gossip, caught between siding with my parents and sneaking the updates. I typed back. I didn't shut it off, I just stopped paying for it. She didn't respond, just those typing dots that faded to nothing. That silence felt heavier than their anger, but it didn't break me. I was building something new, a life where I wasn't the one holding their world together. Then they showed up at my apartment. I saw them through the people, Dad, pacing, red-faced like he owned my porch, Mom and her favorite leopard print scarf, crying louder than the doorbell. Maria, open the door. Dad shouted. You're ruining everything. Mom chimed in her voice, wobbly but sharp. We trusted you. How could you do this to us? I sat on my couch sipping coffee from a mug they'd given me years ago, said #OneDaughter. I almost laughed at the irony. They banged on the door for 10 minutes yelling, begging, even threatening, but I didn't move. Their noise wasn't my problem anymore. Yelling doesn't mean love when it comes without respect. That night I saw Mom's Facebook post. The ones you love most cut the deepest. Her friends piled on in the comments, calling me entitled, saying I owed them for raising me. Owed them. I'd paid for their groceries, their vacations, their emergencies. Since I was a teenager I planned Christmas dinners they took credit for, bought gifts they bragged about, but they never remembered my birthday, unless it was to swipe my card. I didn't comment. I was too busy building walls they couldn't climb. Ones made of self-respect instead of their guilt. That week I started therapy. My therapist asked, when did you first feel responsible for your parents? I didn't even have to think. When I was 16, I said Mom was sobbing over a shut-off notice. I took my diner paycheck to keep the heat on. That was the moment I stopped being a kid and started being the adult. They leaned on. I wasn't raised. I was raising them. Every bill I paid, every loan I gave, every crisis I fixed. I thought I was showing love, but they taught me love was a transaction and I was always the one paying. The truth hit hard. I wasn't just their daughter. I was their safety net, their backup plan, their ATM with a pulse. They didn't see my late nights studying for my degree, my pride in buying my own car, my dream of starting a consulting business. They saw a resource to tap when they took that $42,000, it wasn't about the money, it was about how easily they did it. No guilt, no hesitation, just a cold assumption that my life belonged to them. That betrayal burned, but it also lit a fire. I wasn't going to be their fixer anymore. My cousin Riley kept testing, forwarding family group chat screenshots. They had renamed it without me. The messages were all about me. Maria is heartless, my brother wrote. We gave her everything and she bailed everything. I grew up dodging bill collectors, watching Mom fake tears to delay payments, hearing Dad call his gambling debts bad luck. I turned those years of survival into a career, a savings account, a life I built from scratch. I shared it with them, not because I owed them but because I believed in family. But family isn't a blank check. You cash behind someone's back. That I replied to Riley once. If you keep breaking someone, don't be shocked when they stop showing up. Then I blocked the thread. The guilt tried to creep in, whispering that I was too harsh, that family sticks together. But I shut it down. Guilt was their weapon, not my truth. I posted a short message to my online friends. Boundaries are mean. They just make the silence easier to live with. The responses flooded in from people I knew and strangers alike. I've been you. One wrote, thank you for saying what I couldn't. Their words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, reminding me I wasn't alone. One evening, rain tapping my windows, I got a voicemail from Mom Maria, it's me. Your dad fell, broke his leg. We're at the county hospital, no insurance. They won't do surgery unless we pay. Please just call back. This is family. Her voice was the same when she needed something soft, urgent, pulling at old strings. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. I opened my laptop, checked my accounts. I could pay for it. But then I opened another folder, one I'd labeled Truth. Screenshots of their charges, emails, begging for one last favor. The birthday dinner they put on my card without asking their emergency wasn't mine anymore, it was just another hooked. I tested Riley. Tell them I hope he heals, but I'm not hurting myself to fix their pain. No reply, just silence. And for the first time that silenced and clawed me, it felt like breathing room. I lit a candle, made tea, and Saturday still no buzzing phone, no panic, just quiet. I wasn't waiting for their next crisis, I was living for me. A few weeks later I walked into my cousin Hannah's wedding at a rustic barn just outside town. The air smelled of hay and honeysuckle string lights twinkling against the Ohio sky. I went because Hannah mattered. She'd always seen me as Maria, not the family's problem solver. She'd call just to check in, not to ask for something. But I knew my parents would be there and I braced myself. I wore a black satin dress, not to mourn, but to show I wasn't the girl they could guilt anymore. My head was high, my heart steady. I wasn't there to fix anything. I was there to live today. As I stepped into the barn I felt their eyes on me. Mom, in a tight dress, she probably charged to someone else's card, stared like she was sizing me up. Dad, leaning on a cane, limped more than he needed to his rented tux, a size too big. Their looks weren't warm. They were calculating, waiting for me to crack to run over and play the good daughter. I sat with Hannah's friends laughing at their stories, clinking glasses, like I belonged, and I did. For the first time I wasn't performing for anyone. During dinner, Mom walked by my table, her hand brushing my chair. You look different, she said, her voice soft but sharp, like she was fishing for a reaction. I met her eyes unflinching eye. I said, calm but firm. She opened her mouth. But I raised a hand. I'm here for Hannah, not you. Her face froze, her eyes glossy, not from sadness, from realizing she'd lost her grip on me. I wasn't her rescue boat anymore. I was a lighthouse, bright and untouchable. Ate the toast. Dad raised his glass, his eyes locking on mine like he expected me to smile, to nod, to offer peace. I didn't move, I didn't lift my glass. Peace doesn't come from pretending nothing happened. It comes from walking through pain and choosing not to carry theirs anymore. I danced that night, my feet aching in my heels, my voice hoarse from singing with Hannah's friends. I laughed until my sides hurt, letting my joy be a quiet rebellion. They didn't get to decide how I felt anymore. When Mom passed me again, her face tight, I didn't shrink. He stood there. Yet she wanted me to feel guilty, to run back and fix their mess. But I was done. I left the wedding without a goodbye, the barn's lights fading behind me. As I drove home that night, I turned off the last auto pay for my past utility bill I'd covered for years. I wasn't just closing accounts, I was closing a chapter. It's been a year since my parents swiped $42,000 from my account, since that bank alert ripped my trust apart. A year since I stopped answering their calls and started answering my own heart. The guilt used to hit a siren loud and sharp, telling me I was cruel for cutting them off. Now it's just a faint drowned out by the truth. I gave them my love, my savings, my years, and they treated it like a card with no limit. That card's closed now and I'm not reopening it. I've built something new in this small Ohio town. My consulting business is growing. I help small businesses manage their books, turning chaos into clarity, the way I always wanted for myself. My apartments, mine, no eviction notices, no family knocking. My friends don't call me family to guilt me. They call to laugh, to share coffee, to show up without strings. On my next birthday, my phone didn't buzz with their fake apologies. Instead there was a knock at my door. Hannah stood there holding a cake with candles, her smile warm and real. You are never the problem, she whispered. You are just the first to break free. We lit the candles not for wishes, but to breathe. Healing isn't loud, it's choosing not to open the door when guilt comes knocking. Dressed up like love, Mom still posts her vague Facebook grants, hinting on the villain. Dad plays the victim at family gatherings, limping for sympathy. Their voices don't echo in my life anymore. My cousin Riley sends me screenshots sometimes, but I don't reply. I need to. I've built walls of self-respect and their words bounce off like rain on a roof. I belong to me now fully, finally, freely, to everyone who's walked with me through this story. Thank you. You've seen my fights, my heartbreak, my stand. If this hit you where it hurts, if you've ever felt used or had to build your own walls, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every story we share is a piece of someone's truth about breaking free, standing tall, and choosing yourself. Keep building your own life, brick by brick, and I'll meet you where the light shines brightest.